So Justin Danhof is our 6th of 10 awardees today. The political left has been increasingly successful over the last decade, compelling corporate America to actively support liberal positions on political, economic, and social issues, and to use their power to close down conservatives. Every year, left-wing groups and activists file hundreds of shareholder resolutions designed to influence public policy by altering corporate behavior. And I hope you guys know about this. Not enough people do. The right really has one group focusing on resisting the left's efforts to pressure corporations, the National Center for Public Policy Research, where Justin Danhof is their general counsel and the director of the Free Enterprise Project there. He files shareholder resolutions, engages corporate CEOs and board members at shareholder meetings, and manages media campaigns to create incentives for corporations to stay focused on their mission, not the left's agenda. He just wants them to return to neutral and get out of politics. Working 80 hours a week, Justin says he can file 20 shareholder resolutions a year, as up against 400 to 500 a year that the left with 70 to 90 activists file a year. I don't know if you've been seeing the culture of corruption and change in the corporate zone, but conservatives and their views are being marginalized, deplatformed, defunded, and demonetized by these corporate interests. Tactically, the left is using activist board members from the top of their organizations, responding to vocal and woke employee factions within the organization, and bending to outside far-left pressure campaigns on the outside to support radical progressive causes and close down alternative views. Justin has only about 500 followers on Twitter. I think we can help him there. And I bet you and I can do that when we leave here. Justin, on behalf of the conservative movement writ large, we thank you for being the only conservative shareholder activist in this escalating, well-funded left-wing advocacy occurring. Thank you for your incredibly detailed work, your lonely but professional leadership, and for holding a light in the darkness until more of us show up to help free enterprise stay grounded in political neutrality, or at least stop doing harm to us.
Thank you, Ginni, and to all of our generous hosts and sponsors today. I'm truly humbled. There are far too many people to thank for this award and who deserve a part in it. I want to thank my family and my friends, especially my wife, Kristen. As I seemingly spend half of my life on planes traveling from one bad corporate actor to another, she can be forgiven for feeling like a single mother sometimes as she raises our 2-year-old Nora and continues to excel and advance in her own career. I love you, Kristen. Thank you. Oh, and for those who don't know yet, stay tuned for baby Danhof #2 arriving in April. I also want to thank my colleagues who are sitting here and take this opportunity to single out the late co-founder of the National Center, Amy Ridenour. We lost Amy when heaven gained her in 2017. A true mentor, she was instrumental in providing me with the building blocks to grow the Free Enterprise Project. And to many of you in this room, especially you, Ginni, who have worked so hard recently to amplify my message, you have my profound gratitude. Finally, I want to thank the Bradley Foundation for its generous support, which has recently allowed us to expand the Free Enterprise Project's scope and our future impact. Much work remains to be done, but the trajectory of our horizon has changed for the better with our partnership. Now I have a few somber matters. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, Facebook, there are only 2 genders. We are at a seminal moment in American history regarding corporate America's slow march towards liberalism. From life issues to the Second Amendment, to immigration, to marriage, to debanking, and deplatforming conservatives, many of America's leading corporations are now steadily aligned with the left. Seemingly every day, another company takes an action that is anathema to conservative and traditional values. One day, Nike pulls a Betsy Ross tribute shoe from the store shelves at the behest of that cop hater Colin Kaepernick. The next day, Bank of America bows to the activists and cancels all financial dealings with ICE. And the day after that, Gillette Razors not only decries so-called toxic masculinity, it glorifies transgenderism. Heck, when Chick-fil-A decides to end donations to the Salvation Army while funding the Southern Poverty Law Center, which calls all of you in this room a hater, you could be forgiven for thinking all hope is lost. Don't give in to such sorrow. That's just what the liberal activists that have been working to move corporate America into their cultural lane for the last 4 decades want you to do. Give up. Don't let your enemies define you. Now is the time for thoughtful and decisive action. To brave this battle, it's going to require more than the efforts of a few sunshine soldiers and summer patriots. Thomas Paine said that these individuals will show up on convenient occasions, but ultimately shrink from the service of their country. To date, it saddens me to say this, but this has largely been the right's response to corporate outrages. We write angry Facebook scribes and fire off some tweets, but then we go back to the work of the day. Our lack of constant vigilance is the left's open door. I stand ready with plans and visions for those who are willing to join forces to counter corporate liberalism. What we need is full-time, joyful servants willing to approximate the left's army. But I make no promises that this is going to be an easy fight to win. We've been losing corporate America to the left since at least the Vietnam era. We're not going to win them back tomorrow. But I'm here to tell you we better start trying tomorrow. And there's going to be trials. I can attest to that. From being physically assaulted after I challenged then Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz over far-left immigration policies, to being called a Nazi and a Klansman for simply asking Amazon to consider adding viewpoint diversity to its far-left board of directors. I wear these fights as a badge of honor. Where are you going to pin your badges? In the crisis, Paine made it clear that certain struggles require high costs. He wrote, "Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated." I'm willing to pay such a price. I hope you'll join me in the battle. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slip, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit. Let's march forward together and retake the soul of corporate America. Thank you, and God bless you one and all.